Howdy, my friends, and welcome into this week's episode of Forte Catholic. I'm so glad that you are here, and I'm so glad that Liv Harrison is here. We have a great conversation, great show for you here today. We're going to talk about a lot of celebrations today. Birthday celebrations, as I just celebrated mine. Wedding celebrations, as my sister just celebrated her. And then also a couple of breakthroughs, both for Liv and her life, and also some breakthroughs in the spiritual life in my life, for moi, for me. And also, we talk about maybe one of my favorite, biblical realizations that I've ever made, and it involves Mary and Zechariah, and how I think God plays a little easier with his favorite women than he does with his favorite boys. Don't get mad at me. We're all having fun here. Wait till the end of the show. I think you're going to really enjoy today's episode. Take a listen. And welcome to Forte Catholic. I am Taylor Schroll, and that is Olivia Eugene Harrison. Hello, Olivia.
Hello, Taylor. How are you?
I'm doing great. I have three things that involve you to start the show. I'm going to let you pick the order. We're going to do all three, but I have a heartwarming story that you will love about that involves you. I have a reason I'm mad at you and a reason I'm proud of you. Which would you like to do first?
I know why you're mad at me, so we can start. We can start with that if you want. What were the balloons? Did you see balloons that just happened?
I did see balloons. This is a new thing with the Apple computers. I don't even know if people see them on YouTube. I have no idea. I thought I turned them off. This happened with Sean's episode too.
I love it happened when you were like...
I talk with my hands. I'm Italian like you, so when I do a thumbs up, it does like balloons and confetti. But anyway, we're just gonna ignore it. Okay,
all right.
We're just gonna ignore it.
But
there might be random balloons in front of my head.
Balloons yes. Happened when you said I have something that I'm mad at you, and then balloons.
Well, you know what the balloons are for, right?
No, your birthday.
It's my birthday. Yeah. So this is our birthday episode, but we're starting with you. We're starting with you.
All right.
Okay, so you want to start
with why over with.
Okay, why I'm mad at you. So you and I both made our Catholic TV debut. This is the second time that I've been on Catholic television, but there is specifically a network called Catholic TV. And, I went on EWTN years ago. This is my first time being on Catholic TV. So my second time on Catholic TV that was called Catholic TV. Okay, got it. So I made my debut on the show that they do, and it was great. I really, really enjoyed it. You also made your debut on Catholic TV a few weeks after I did. And so my kids, who just adore you, I think we said the last time that you were on, we went and stayed at your house. They really enjoyed spending time with you. Mostly enjoyed spending time with the dogs, but they really like you. You're very, very nice to them, which no niceties for their father, but you're very nice to my children, and they love you. So me and my three kids sat down and watched your interview on this Catholic TV show. We watched it on, you put YouTube up on the TV and all this kind of stuff, right?
So y'all were the 4 viewers that watched that episode.
Exactly.
Okay,
well,
great.
it only counted as one because...
I know, that was the joke, Taylor.
Sometimes it's hard to tell when you're making a joke. Olivia.
Is it?
So we watched the whole thing. Mm-hmm. And I would not be mad if you talked about any other topic other than the topic that you talked about. If you talked about Liv being an MC, if you talked about Liv, your weight loss journey, or your marriage, or like all these things that you're like pretty famous for speaking about and sharing about, I wouldn't have been mad. But when the video says Liv Harrison on podcasting, and my name didn't get said once, I was pretty upset because.
But I talked about you.
No, you did not.
Yes, I did. I didn't say your name. Also, I didn't know that's what we were going to talk about. I gave them exactly the list you just said. I was like, fatty, married to an embryo.
Did you just say
I was like
fatty?
all the things. I'm like, here's the stuff I know: food, my hot husband. Those I can talk about. They're like, great, let's discuss podcasting. I was like, I had a podcast in 2020. Who even knows that? So it was just, I kept thinking, to be very honest with you, I was like, Okay. And, like I kept thinking, like, we're going to do something. Like, I didn't even know that was going to be the entire segment. Like, they didn't say, and this shall be all we talk about. They didn't say anything, which I'm cool with that. You know that. I love when, like, I don't know what's going on. I do better.
As your primary podcast handler, I agree with them that they shouldn't have told you what's going on before we start, because I didn't tell you any of this before we started, because we know better. Because you're a great co-host if you don't know what's coming. If you know what's coming, you ruin every transition. Like, I want to have a 20-minute conversation and then get to the Bible point. You bring up the Bible point within a minute and a half. Like, it's so annoying to tell you anything. And then they do it. And I wouldn't have been mad if you hadn't name dropped multiple other people.
I name dropped one person, the person who got me the interview, okay, Taylor, this is so me, and you know this. I'm going to tell a quick story. Taylor and I were interviewing Dr. Peter Kraft. What do we say?
We never decided.
And I had zero clues who this man was. None. I had never heard of his name, Zippo. And I asked him about how many pillows he had on his bed? Like something, do you remember that? Something super arbitrary. Like, so how many throw pillows do you have? And we get off the thing and I'm talking to my brothers and my brother goes, I'm sorry, who did you interview? And it was like, Dr. Peter, I don't know, Kraft, I don't know. And he goes, he's the leading philosopher of our time. What did you ask him? And it was like something about his throw pillows.
Boxers or briefs, bro.
I mean, Taylor, this is so my thing. I was in Petra and Jordan, and the whole time I was like, I've never heard of this place. Called my brother. I was like, have you ever heard of Petra? He's like, I literally hate you. So this is my MO. The only person I mentioned was Monet, who got me the interview.
No, you mentioned Jen Fulweiler. You mentioned Edmund Mitchell. You mentioned so many people, just not me. And what drove me crazy is you mentioned all of those people, and I was in the room for all of those conversations.
All right. I would like to officially announce Taylor Schroll's name coming out of my mouth on the same level as Catholic TV, which is Forte Catholic.
You want to know what really what grinds
views.
My gears, chaps my tush. You want to know what really does?
I said my producer. What?
I went back.
Myself.
Right immediately after watching your interview. The kids were like, "Oh, it's Miss Liv," and I'm like genuinely angry. I'm like, seriously, like I'm not the kind of person that like needs to be mentioned all the time. But when it comes to Liv Harrison and podcasting, I've been there for every second. And the fact that so I went back. No, listen to me. I went back and watched my interview on Catholic TV. And at the time, you had not been on this podcast for a year. And within a minute and a half of my interview, you know whose name I said? Yours! I'm such a much better friend than you are. I mentioned your name when you haven't shown up for me in almost a year, and you didn't mention me at all.
This is getting quite abusive very quickly.
I wasn't even talking about podcasting.
Publicly yelling at Liv. So that's funny. I was actually going to say something to you about what I did just mention your name, but because you just yelled at me like that, I'm not. So you will have to just not know when I did just mention your name to a very big named person who actually runs something and not just the 3 people that are going to watch on YouTube. So Mr. Taylor Schroll, I adore you. I talk about you all the time, but here's the thing. I talk about you when it matters. So there you go.
Not when you're on national television. Great.
No one was watching. No one was watching. Anyway, I'm sorry, Taylor. I've already said I'm sorry. It was not.
I don't think you did.
Yes, I did. And it was a big deal that I was on. It was a really big deal. I'm glad that you're making me go through this. I'm really glad you know everything I've gone through and you're bringing this up because it was a big deal.
No, you chose this. I gave you 2 roses and a thorn and you picked the thorn. You woke up this morning and chose violence.
We've already I did not. We've already talked about this and you still want to talk. You still want to talk about this.
No, I held back and that's how I do. I hold back in all my real life and all my real life interactions. I hold back till we're on the podcast.
How can I make it up to you and apologize in the correct manner?
I don't need you to apologize. It's fine because it's not going to change my anger. So apologizing is worthless. But But
then what is it that you want?
You might tell me, just to let people know. That's all I wanted to know. But remember, there are two other things, and you stupid balloons.
Now there's a balloon.
Remember that there are two other things that were good. I said that there's a moment that I was proud of you, and a heartwarming story that you will love. And now we get to go there. Now we get to rise from the ashes of our friendship.
Here's what's really funny. I didn't know this was the thing you were mad about, because I thought we put this to bed, and I thought it was something I did yesterday that got you mad. So that's funny.
Oh no! What did you do yesterday?
I spoke at your parish. I was a speaker at your parish. I was with all your people last night
at St. Joseph's.
No, and Lake Jackson.
Oh, and Lake Jackson at my old parish. That's okay. They need all the help they can get.
It was great. There was a huge turnout. So, and that's not where I said such nice things about you, but I did talk about you a lot last night. So anyway, so this is great. I'm feeling really good about myself.
Well, you chose this. If I like the way that I do stuff is I like the sandwich.
That is so abusive to say I'm yelling at you and you made me do this.
No, what is that called? You love that term, gaslighting. I'm gaslighting you. This is all your fault.
Oh, I'm aware of what you're doing. I'm very aware of your personality disorders.
I'm trying to be nice now. I'm trying to prove that I still like you, despite you.
Off the air, I will tell you my good news to you about you.
No, I think you're going to want to tell it after the two positive stories.
All right, let's hear it. Go.
Okay. Well, no, which one do you want? Do you want the heartwarming story, or do you want the thing that I'm proud of you for?
Oh, geez. The thing you're proud of.
Okay. The thing that I'm proud of you for.
Yeah.
Ironically enough, also has to do with that Catholic TV interview.
Okay.
Because you've avoided the studio that you're in like a plague. You have a professional studio, and you've had a lot going on, so you haven't wanted to go in there. And I was almost a little mad that your first time back in the studio wasn't with me. I had to watch it on Catholic TV, and then I just thought I'd get a mention. I didn't. But
this is rose.
I was proud of you. It's just for about a year of you not being in the studio, and like it is long documented. Whenever you were podcasting twice a week in that studio, that you have no idea how it works. But towards the end, you started.
I got good. Yeah,
you did get good. Like you got to where like you trusted it and I trusted it. It didn't take us an hour and a half before we recorded the show to start recording the show. Like
even today,
we got there. And so the two moments that I'm proud of you for are recording in that studio for the Catholic TV interview that I didn't like, but then also recording there today because these stupid freaking balloons. I'm so mad at these balloons. I've got it. I thought I turned them off the other day. I think
it's fantastic. It's like Pee Wee Herman. There's some secret word you're saying. Today's word is.
What's crazy
today.
is I don't think it comes through on my recording. So it's just for us, which is
That's
why like
funny. So we sound crazy.
We literally sound like insane people. We have to just ignore it as best as possible, but I can't even ignore it because
I can't.
It's always at the worst moments. I'm like, I'm mad at you, and it's like balloons. Fireworks. Yeah. I forgot what I was saying. Oh no, I'm proud of you, right?
Kind of.
Because
it was backhanded.
now that you've now been back in the studio twice, and I was surprised that because you were gonna come here yesterday, like
tomorrow.
So it's easier for you to drive 3 hours than to record your studio, which and I was totally understandable of that. We've done that multiple times. But life happened, and you didn't want to come see me and take me to lunch on my birthday, so we did it. We decided to do it digitally here. But I am proud of you that it didn't stress you out like it used to, and I'm proud of you that you're moving forward. I'm really happy.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Yes, you were the first podcast recording longer than 5 minutes recording the Catholic TV thing. Here's what's so funny. Again. Not going back, I had no idea what it was. I didn't even know it was anything. Like I had zero clues. So that's what I was trying to tell you. So anyway, this is a big deal to me. Forte Catholic is a big deal. So that's why I'm here giving you my best.
All right, this is your best.
This is it. In this day and age, yes, it is. All right, let's get to the heartwarming. I'm ready to feel better inside.
Before the heartwarming story, I need you to tell everybody you've had this little dog for a long time named Jack that you just adore and love, right? How long have you had this dog? Well, you probably shouldn't.
We got him May 2020. He's been alive since March 2020. So he was born.
Oh my goodness. COVID dog.
Yeah. He's a little over 3 years. I mean, he'll be almost 4 years old, but 3.5 years.
Still looks like a rat. He's the size of a rat.
He looks like a teddy bear. He looks like a little puffy bear. He's such a cutie.
So whenever you generously let us come stay at your house, my kids met that dog, and you also got to announce to them that the next week, what was the big thing happening in your life?
Yeah, we got a new dog. We got a second dog, and it's very different than Jack.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. Jack sits there on a pillow and blinks. This dog is a dog. Like, it runs, it catches things in its mouth. It like can chew things. It snuggles. It does all sorts of. Jack is a living stuffed animal. Here's what's so funny. The new dog, her name is Rose. Kana named the dogs. So she named Jack and Rose, like Titanic. And she said for Halloween, she was going to dress them up like Jack and Rose from Titanic. And she was going to go as the door. I thought that was hilarious. And it's also very Kana for anyone who watches anything I post about Kana. But Rose is like Tigger. She bounces. I've never seen a dog jump like this. So we have all come to the conclusion.
That's a normal dog thing. I've been trying to tell you for years that you have a rat.
Like Jack is a cat. That's what he identifies as. He's a cat. So what's really funny is Nathan, my husband, who you know well, is the complete opposite of a human being of me. Like, not kind of, but complete opposite. He worships Rose. Loves that dog. I mean, obsessed. I love Jack.
Again, can we at least say venerate so that we don't make the Protestants mad?
Okay, yeah, that's fair. So I think it's really funny because we've come to the conclusion Rose is me and Jack is Nathan. And so it's really funny that I don't want Rose and he doesn't want Jack. We want the opposite. So what's that with psychology? I think that's kind of interesting. So she's too much for me. She's a lot of energy. I already got a lot. I don't need it.
Yeah.
I don't need it.
I don't think there's any questions about the psychology. I think we all got it pretty immediately.
I love Jack. But she's very sweet. She's lovey and she is a cutie pie. She looks like a Muppet and he looks like a teddy bear. So it's basically I have Jim Henson at my house. I just have like an Ewok and a Muppet. That's what I have. So the kids will love the dogs next time because now they're even more fun. So I'm excited for them to come back. Come back.
We will. You were showing them pictures of the new dog and explaining, and then they just hung out with Jack. We talked for hours. Me, you, my wife, and your husband sat there and talked for hours. It was great.
It was lovely.
And they just played with Jack, the whole time. So
they'll really like Rose.
The heartwarming story in all of this that I think you're gonna love this because especially my youngest, she loves texting people and she's been texting you, right? So like she asks about you pretty cute. Often. Like she's just so sweet, right?
She's the sweetest.
But the girls, my girls, share this like old iPad. I think it was like a prototype for the original iPad. Like it's super old, right? And they have this iPad. And what I didn't notice while we were at your house is that they took a picture, or I think a few pictures of Jack on the iPad. And now the lock screen and the home screen is Jack. Your dog is the home screen and lock screen for my daughter's little iPad. Isn't that the sweetest? They adore you.
That is really
adore
cute.
That dog.
He is the sweetest dog. He's such a fluffer. So I love that they have that. They can just pet him and he's just fluffy. And Rose will come and play with them. Like, so next time they're here, they can just love on this ball like fur, and then they can actually go run and play like real kids. You know what I mean? So it's like we now finally have both. So tell them I'm ready for them to come back. Will you please tell them I'm ready for them to come back?
I will. They listen to the podcast every week to critique it.
I love you, babies. Maggie, Felicity, Chris. I love you guys. And Sam, I love the most. And I can't wait for you guys to come back. So, and Taylor.
Whatever.
I'm getting you a couch, Taylor, for upstairs. That's how much I love you.
Yeah. Is that love or guilt? Because I totally was like, why do you have this huge room that's a playroom? And we all just we sat on the floor. Grown adults sat on the floor for an hour and a half.
Because it's not for the adults, Taylor. Jeez Louise.
Kids don't like chairs or couches either.
They're fine. You're killing me, Smalls.
All
right, that was fun.
There's another heartwarming story.
I'm ready.
One more. There's a bonus that I didn't tell you about. So the first time that I came to your new house, it was just me and Felicity, just me and the littlest one. And it was we're not going to totally rehash all of this because we did a lot of this in the spring. But long story short, for people that haven't listened the last 6 months, she broke her arm. She needed surgery in Texas Children's. Yeah, which is an hour and a half from my house, but you're an hour and a half. It's by your house. It's an hour and a half from my house. Blah blah. Blah. On the day that she was cleared, like they took her cast off, she was cleared to do everything. I asked her where she wanted to go, and she chose Mod Pizza. Or she said she wanted pizza, so I chose Mod Pizza. She didn't know Mod Pizza existed at the time, right? So we went to the Mod Pizza by your house, and then we went over to your house and hung out, right? So her birthday was just a couple of weeks ago, and I asked her every day for like a week, like, your birthday's coming up. We always let them pick where we're going to go out to eat on their birthday. And she thought about it. And then finally, it was this heartwarming moment for me because she remembered fondly this memory of like, because her and I drove to Texas Children's multiple times for her checkups and stuff.
Yeah.
And like the freedom of like, we're done, we're out, is connected emotionally to Mod Pizza, right? But it's also connected emotionally to you. So you came up a lot on her birthday. And because we went to Mod Pizza, we talked about you at Mod Pizza. So I'm talking about you on Catholic TV. I'm talking about you in pizza places. We love you. That's really all I want to say. And I'm just a little upset that it's not always reciprocated. You're
a better person than I am. This is not new information to anyone who's listened for more than 5 minutes. Everyone's like, why is she even on it? Taylor is a sweetheart. He's a doll, and she's the worst.
That is what everyone that listens to the show.
That's what everyone says.
That's obviously what everybody thinks.
That is it. So I just want to validate that, you guys. I'm the worst. Taylor is a sweetie pie.
All right.
How's that?
I think that's a great way to end the segment. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Over the last few months behind the scenes, we've been working on this project that is going quite swimmingly. We've been going back and remastering our old podcast episodes and also releasing those audio-only episodes onto our YouTube channel. YouTube just got into the podcasting game, and we only had our video episodes, which started at around like episode 150. So every episode of the show has been a video episode since 150, but we have been going back and adding our audio only ones on there. And I think that's just a great excuse for you to go back and listen to some of our old episodes, whether you're listening on like in your favorite podcast app, and that's how you like to listen. All of the first 100 episodes as of right now are fully remastered and ready for you to listen to. You can go back and listen to some of our greatest guests. At the beginning of the show, it was very guest reliant. We had a lot of great guests. You can go back and listen to those. You can listen to early Taylor and see how much I've changed and grown, both positively and negatively since the early years. And then also, if you are on YouTube and you want to listen to those old episodes, you can now do that. YouTube.com/Forte Catholic. Hit subscribe. Those watch hours on YouTube really do help us out. If we hit a certain amount of watch hours, YouTube will start sending us money that doesn't cost you a thing. Just for you watching YouTube, Google will be forced to send us money. And then also, they will start promoting our videos, both the podcast and everything else that we are doing on YouTube as well. So it's a great way to help us out. Check it out, youtube.com/Forte Catholic. Go listen to some of those older episodes and check out all the new stuff we have going on too. Enjoy. Thanks. Welcome back to Forte Catholic. I am Taylor Schroll. That is Olivia Newton-John. We are... this is the eve of the Taylor, the vigil of the Taylor.
The vigil.
As we're recording this, my birthday is tomorrow. As you're listening to this, my birthday was last week. So if you missed it, you should feel bad.
And he'll make you feel bad publicly. Yeah. So
yeah, I'll invite you on the podcast, shame you for a little bit, and then Catherine will yell at me, and then we'll move on with our lives.
Yes, we all will move on.
All right. But before we talk about my birthday, we always want to talk about what has happened before we talk about what's about to happen. So this past weekend, I'm a little tired right now because we had a very busy but exciting weekend. My sister got married this past weekend.
Which one?
The middle one, the one who wasn't already married.
Just in case people don't know, I don't know. Tell them your family structure so they kind of, you know what I mean? So they know.
I'm the best, and I've been married for 11 years. The baby sister got married 2 years ago, and then the middle sister got married this past weekend.
There you go.
Crazy thing. They're like, you're from Louisiana. I was born in Texas, but my blood's 100% Cajun because that's where my parents are from. And my sister's now husband is Cajun, from Louisiana.
Nice.
And my parents and his parents met on vacation. That's how this happened. They met on vacation, and they were like, "Hey, I have a kind of older young adult that is a good Catholic that kind of wants to be married. Hey, I have a young adult that's a little bit older that kind of wants to be married." And they introduced them, and they both said yes, and then they said yes for good a couple years later, and it was just such a great celebration. I was so happy for everybody involved.
So cool. That's credit to your sister and her husband for, you know what I mean? Because how many parents say these things like, "Oh, you should meet this guy," and everyone's like, "I'm not doing that. That's gross. You're my mom." Like, whatever. So credit to them for even trying. That's amazing, Taylor. I love that.
Yeah, it was fun.
Good for them.
We had such a fun weekend. We went and like one of the things that's a lot more rare. Like whenever I was younger. Especially when my grandparents were alive, the grandparents seemed to, I don't know if it's like this in every family. I would assume that it is in most, but the grandparents are kind of the glue of the family, right? Because they're home base and everybody goes to home base. And so we have a huge family. My mom, she's one of 5 and my dad's one of 6. So we have, and we're all Catholic Southern families. So like there's a bunch of cousins. So like we would always go to the grandparents and we'd see all of my 50, 60, 70 cousins. We'd see aunts and uncles. We'd see everybody. And it was like this, we do it like multiple times a year, like for holidays and all that sort of stuff. And then my grandparents passed away when I was like, one of them before I was born, another one when I was in like junior high, another one in high school, another one in college. So like, since college, so like since I was like 18, that glue of the family was kind of gone, right? And I always loved those like family gatherings. And so they're a lot more rare now, but because they're more rare, they are more special, right? So like the fact that I get to see aunts and uncles and cousins, we just had such a great time, like at the rehearsal, at the wedding, at the party. It was just so great to see everybody, and like we were just all so happy for my sister, and and we were like, "Hey, we like the guy. It's great." It was just a great celebration of family and weddings and church and all this kind of stuff. It was good.
I love that. Where did they head off to their honeymoon? Do you know?
They're going to St. Lucia, which is one of those fancy places that I would imagine you've been to that I'll probably never go to. Really?
I haven't. You're hilarious. You could go to St. Lucia.
It's one of those Caribbean islands.
Yeah,
I can afford to go there, but I can't afford to come back. I think that's the problem.
The last trip I was on, actual vacation trip, because I've been traveling a ton. I leave tomorrow. That's why I couldn't do this tomorrow. I had to buy a suitcase. I had to buy an extra suitcase because I bought so much stuff. So
you have added a lot of baggage to your life for the last couple of years.
Dude, you have no idea.
Laugh at your pain. A little punny joke for your pain.
I love that you tell your best jokes with me and you like high five yourself the entire time that you're laughing.
I'm so proud of myself.
You are proud of yourself. I love it. No, congratulations. And everybody looked beautiful. I was looking at the pictures. The kids look so cute. Like, dressed up. Was that fun? Like to see the girls
they're so sweet. And like, Felicity lost both of her front teeth. So now she's in front of all her family with, no teeth. It's just the cutest, right?
Yeah.
So Friday, we got there Friday. We went and set up, cause like I have, I'm the sound guy. I have this big old sound system that I used to use all the time whenever I was in a band and traveling. We were doing music for retreats and conferences and stuff. And now I don't have a band. So, so it just kind of sits here for the most part. But I was like, I can be helpful. Right. So like for the party, I always get the rehearsal,
the reception,
dinner, the wedding, the reception. There's too many R's.
There are a lot of R's. Yeah. Yeah.
But for the reception, like they got this nice, like community center or whatever thing in the Houston area, actually.
I was gonna say, where was it? Okay. So y'all were in Houston.
We were in Chickaland, Missouri City.
Okay. Got it. Yeah.
So, really nice place. And I went and I set up like the speakers. Cause like I was going to be the sound guy. Like my sister was the DJ. She sent me a Spotify playlist. I hit play and walked away. Like,
great.
But, we went and set it up. And one thing that it like didn't really hit me until I was setting up was that this is the same sound system, the same exact setup that we used for my wedding 11 years ago.
Aww.
It's like we used the same speakers, the same mixer, because I got it when I was in college and we set it up for ours. So it was kind of funny, like the first sibling and the last sibling to get married 11 years apart. We're using the same sound system, which was fun.
That's cute.
We went to the rehearsal. I sang for the wedding, which like
did you?
Yeah, I sang for my other sister's wedding, and I sang for this one.
Nice.
So it's really nice to just kind of walk around and get complimented all day. I really enjoyed that because it's like I sang at the wedding, and then the whole rest of the day, people were just like, "Oh, hey, this is awesome." There's a guy outside my house. This always happens during the podcast. I don't know what's going on. He's looking at me. Hold on. Guy was staring at me through the window, asking to cut my grass. It's October. We don't have any grass. Leave me alone.
That's hilarious.
Okay, so the wedding. Your family has to be nice to you, right? Aunts and uncles, mom, dad. Like, oh, it sounded great. But like random people were coming up to me from like the groom side of the family, like, oh, you sound like Pearl Jam. I'm like, thanks. No one can understand him. I appreciate it. So
that's a huge compliment. What are you talking about? I have a friend that's such a massive Pearl Jam groupie. Like, she's never missed a concert. Like, she used to travel and like has kids and would like be like, peace out. Got to go to Kansas City to go see Pearl Jam. You know what I mean? So
I'm more of a grape jelly guy.
I can't respond to that. I can't.
That would hurt you. I could tell.
That really. Did you see that? I had like a physical.
You were like, I don't want to do this anymore.
No, I was like, there's no balloons floating inside of me from that. There you go.
There you go. There's your thumbs up. Okay. But yeah, just so happy for my sister. And there was this moment because like I've talked about this before, and I actually talked about it a couple weeks ago, how like a lot of times, like when it comes to like paying attention in mass, a lot of my struggles paying attention to mass is because like I just spent years working during mass, like playing music, and like, you know, everybody else is praying, and I'm like, okay, I got to find the Gloria. I got to make sure I have the right capo. I got to make sure that and especially for weddings, like the weddings are a little bit different than the Sunday mass, right? I mean, same kind of structure, but there's some extra stuff in there. So I'm like making sure I got the right thing. I don't want to mess up. So I'm like focused on that. So we got like, I don't know, halfway through the wedding, and then they were doing this reflection song. And so I'm seeing it. And then all of a sudden I look over, we're over halfway done with the wedding. And I lock eyes with my sister during this reflection song, and we just both smile. And it's because like, it's the first time I saw her, really? Like, I mean, because like, everybody else is like, when she's walking down the aisle, everybody's like staring at her, and I'm like trying to hit the right chords, you know? Like, so it's just all these sweet moments. And like, you know, like if you've ever, especially for people who have played music at mass, I don't know if people in the congregation notice, but like most of the singing in mass, it's so front loaded. Like, because you have like the entrance hymn and the Gloria and the Alleluia.
That's
and
true. Okay.
It's just all very front loaded. So once you get through the first half, you're actually almost done musically wise. So like by that point, I kind of like settled in, kind of calmed down. Like time is kind of starting to slow down, and it was just this sweet little moment of like, oh, hey sister, I'm happy for you. You know, so
that's my baby sister.
It was just really good. So
how much younger is she than you, Taylor?
She's 4 years younger than me. Baby sister's 7 years younger than me.
Okay. Oh yeah, this is the middle one. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. So right, but she's still your baby sister. Yeah. I mean, I think about my brothers as anyway, younger. They're all babies.
So it was really sweet. It was just a really lovely weekend. Okay. Enough about other people. Let's talk about me. All right.
Oh, good. It's been no time at all. So
we are on the vigil of my birthday, and
oh yes, thank you, Jesus, that Taylor was born on the planet.
I mean, obviously. I mean, you're.
What would we have all done? Yeah, we don't know. We don't want to know. Here's what's funny. The last time we recorded was my birthday. And you told everybody, hey, once you hear this, Liv's birthday will already have happened. So I want you to bombard her, and I want you to write her, and I want you to text her, and I want you to DM her, and I want you to do all these things saying, happy birthday, Liv, no matter when you hear this. And guess how many people did that?
0.
0. So what does that mean? Does that mean we don't have any listeners, or does that mean that nobody cares? Because here's the thing, Taylor.
The answer to that is yes.
Yeah, everybody's the worst. Okay. And so I was like, oh, I don't care. And then as it got further away, I was like, I kind of care. Like, I was like, nobody's said anything. But I mean this with all my heart. You have done so much for so many of us, especially in the industry, especially doing the stuff that any media that you're listening to, just go ahead and assume that Taylor is behind it sound wise. I'm not kidding. Like, at this point, I don't know what he doesn't do. It would be a shorter list for me to be like, no, he doesn't produce that. He produces everything. And so I really and truly mean this. I want everybody to actually put their fingers on their keyboards and write happy birthday, Taylor, and tell him, if you could even take it a step further, something that you've gotten out of Forte Catholic that either made you laugh or smile, or you felt less lonely, or you felt more connected, or you felt more understood, like, or that you understood the Catholic Church better, or that you felt, whatever, something that has come from this, because this is this man's opus, something that has come from that to say thank you, Taylor, because he is turning 40 tomorrow.
I am not. I look 46, but I'm not turning 40 tomorrow.
I wish he was turning 40 tomorrow.
I don't want anybody to do what you just said. What I
don't care.
I want
it's not about you.
I want this to be. It's all about me. I want this to be a competition. You put out a plea for everybody. I'm going to put out another plea. I want people to just DM you happy birthday and bombard you.
I hate you.
Very, very, very late happy birthdays.
No,
I want
this
it
is
to
for
be
Taylor.
Pure sympathy, purely out of malice.
Taylor needs so much love, you guys. You have no idea. He wasn't hugged enough as a child, even though his mother's the best. So she just needed to wrap him on one of those baby Bjorns at all times. Taylor needs to just be like,
Well, it wasn't anybody's fault. I was just too big to wrap your arms around.
Your poor mother was like, I can't hug him anymore.
Like, it's
impossible.
on both sides,
Tap, tap, tap on the top of his head. So everybody send massive love to Taylor. Make it embarrassing. Thank you. Okay, Go ahead. Talk about your birthday, Tay.
I want you all to DM Olivia and remind
They're
her
not
that
listening.
none of us cared.
They're not listening. They're listening to me. I'm the boss. I am the captain. I am the captain now.
I wanted to look back on this past year because it was a special one. It was a special one. And I knew that going in. I knew it was going to be a special year because it was my 33rd year. As we record this, I'm in the last day of my 33rd year, and I have not yet been crucified. So unless something happens in the next 12 hours and 40 minutes, I will have survived my 33rd year.
Your Jesus year.
People have often been scared of lightning striking, sitting around me for some of the stuff I said. My hair on my arms literally just like stood up. I think I'm about to be electrocuted just because I challenged the Lord. I put him to the test.
He's not listening.
But if you hear this and I die, I really need you to DM Olivia and tell her happy birthday.
You're the worst. That would be your dying wish.
Yeah.
that
One
would
last
be it.
mess with Liv before I'm out of here.
Jeez.
But so we talked about it a lot on the birthday episode last year because I was like, it's the 33rd year.
Yeah.
And like the focus was that like this is the year that Jesus died. So like what am I going to accomplish in my 33rd year? Because Jesus kind of accomplished a lot. A third of his public ministry died. But what's really interesting is I don't think it was a whole year ago, but I don't think there was much focus on. It was also the year that Jesus rose from the dead. Like, I think we kind of passed over that part, Pass over it. I didn't even mean to do that.
The worst. God, your dad jokes get stronger every day.
Yes. Yeah, because I'm turning 40.
I know. Thank God.
I'm going from 33
to 40. Amen.
They should make a spoof on like 16 going on 30 or whatever it is. And it's just some nerdy guy, middle-aged guy, 33 going on 46 because he's fat and bald and gray. And he looks way older than he is because his life is stressful. It'd be great. It'd be such a funny movie.
It's called Forte Catholic. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. Oh.
So your Jesus year, how did it go?
So my Jesus year, I think it ended up being like obviously not the same, but I think it had a lot of similarities, right? So like,
really?
there was a lot of good, like, Jesus had a lot of public wins. Like roughly a third of the Gospels comes from his 33rd year, right? I mean, just kind of how, if we're guessing how his public ministry went, right? So he had his public ministry. He obviously had the suffering, which I think was the focus going in of like, this is going to be my suffering year. And I mean, to be honest, there was a lot of that. But there was also a lot of wins. Like literally he won, right? Like we always talk about like people who die young. Like there's famous people die young. They die at 23. They die at 25. They die at 27. They die 12 hours and 20 minutes before their birthday. All these people die young. But like, I think for whatever reason, I always have focused on Jesus' 33rd year being the year that he died. But like, the thing is, he didn't die ultimately, right? Like he died.
Seriously.
But 3 days later, or about roughly 18 hours, if you go to Catholic masses on Good Friday and Holy Saturday.
That's always bothered me. Thank you for saying that.
3 days later. Oh, you would have heard it if you listened to the show any year around Easter. Thanks for being such a supportive listener. I appreciate it. But I'm so mad
It's
again.
kind of like
I think every segment we're going to do something I'm proud of you about, something I'm mad at you about.
Man, I feel like I'm getting crucified, yet I am waiting for my resurrection with you.
Well, I didn't know you
coming.
when you were 33 because I was just an embryo at the time.
You were a glimmer in your mother's eye.
As my 33rd year comes to close, there's some highlights, right? There's some positive highlights and some negative highlights, and I think I narrowed it down to 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, you
5,
wrote it down.
6.
Look at you.
I narrowed it down to 6 things, and let's see. There's 1 good one, 2 good ones, 3 good ones, 1 bad one, another good one, and another good one. So I have 1 suffering and 5 wins, which I think is pretty good for the year.
That's incredible. Especially, wait, pause. That's really good for you. Are you kidding?
Yeah, seriously.
That's not your MO.
I think also I'm just in a good mood this morning, so I probably focused on the good ones as I was doing some show prep.
I love that you recognized it.
The first 2 things that I will think of in the future when it comes to thinking about this year are the 2 biggest wins that like I don't think I've still fully processed either of them. And I've talked about both at length on the show, and this is a big way that I process things. Some people go to therapy. I podcast once a week. This is how I process things and get things out in the air. Well, you haven't noticed because you don't listen. But
no, I'm on the receiving end of the processing.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You're not a very good therapist. Why am I paying you for this?
Exactly. All right. So what are they? What are the 2
things
ones?
that I will look back on that I think I'll never forget from this year are that I coached our team to do a first state championship in track. We've been to school for over 125 years. It's our first ever athletic state championship. I've talked about it at length, so we're not going to dive into it. But
it was huge.
I think about it every day. I think about it every day, and I think people got tired of me talking about it. Like I talk about it like every week for a month on the show. But it's like I want you to know that I want to talk about it every week. I just want you to know, like it's still like all the pictures on my phone. People with iPhones, there's this option now to like have a carousel of photos as your lock screen. So like every time you hit the lock screen, it changes pictures. And it's just pictures from us winning that state championship.
It's like not Jack, my dog.
Yeah, it's not.
It's
not.
The state champions. Got it. Okay, got it. Yeah, that makes sense.
And the other thing that I'll just never forget, and I actually just finished up my work on it. So I started and finished my work in the 33rd year of working on Catechism of the Year. So like, which was a show that hit the #1 podcast in the world at the beginning of the year. And it's just like, I'll never accomplish anything better than that. Like like professionally, I hit the peak. Like I'm doing podcasting. I hit the peak of it. Liv still doesn't mention me when she talks about podcasting.
I don't.
But I hit the peak of it. Right. So just 2 incredible things. Like those are the 2 primary highlights. So even with a lot of the suffering that we'll talk about here in a little bit,
those are 2 huge things.
Those are the things that I'll look back on and remember.
What is your title for Catholic Catechism in the Year? Like what, you know what I mean?
I'm one of the 4 audio editors for Catechism.
Okay. I keep telling everybody you're the head sound engineer. Can I just keep saying that?
I mean, you lie all the time, so you can keep saying it if you want.
That's not a lie. If I didn't know.
I think it is. I think the court would argue with you.
I didn't know it was murder. That's
How
what
am
I
I
say.
supposed to know that stabbing him 8 times in the chest with a knife was murder? How was I supposed to know?
I I love that I say something positive about you and it's like more than what you are. And you're like, still not good enough, Liv. Yeah. Okay. All right. So you're one of 4 audio editors. Thank you.
For the number one podcast in the world.
For the number one podcast in the universe.
So a family highlight, which there's a family highlight because I was going through, highlights for the year before we started. Family highlight is that my middle daughter got her first confession and first communion this year. So obviously another thing that is going to have repercussions for the rest of her life, for the rest of eternity. That's kind of a big deal, right?
Big deal.
And that was so the spring was weird. The spring was weird because the biggest struggle was that I had 2 kids break an arm each within 10 days of each other. We thought both needed surgery. One needed surgery. It was really, really bad, really stressful. We got a letter in the midst of it saying that we no longer had the insurance that we had when we went into it. So we thought it was going to financially wreck it. It was just super, super stressful. And all of that is happening at the same time as Maggie getting her first communion and we're fighting for the state championship. So it's just the spring was really stressful. But what's interesting is, I said at the top, the 2 things that I'm going to focus on, the 2 things that I'll remember for eternity are the state championship and working on Catechism a year. That was that's what I'm going to look back on in 5, when I'm actually 46. This is what I'll look back on when I'm 33. But I think for so long, I was in this fog because of our spring, right? So zooming out and once time passes, I'll focus on those 2 positive things. But I think this spring might be the second most stressful time I've ever had in my life, like mentally, physically, emotionally, I think when COVID hit was probably the number one. It's the first time I was ever depressed in my life. And a lot of that started coming back this spring, just because with everything going on in my family and this feeling of I can't control it and sadness and all this kind of stuff. So I think I was just so in that, and I've gotten out of it. It took me a while to get out of it, the kind of towards the middle to the end of the summer. And especially now that we're in the fall and we're back into the swing of things, I feel like I'm back to being myself, but this spring took a pretty big toll on me, but it was such a big focus for good reason, right? Such a big focus. But now that I'm away from it, it was interesting for me to see, you already mentioned it. It was interesting for me to see that I have more positive memories of this year than negative, because I feel like if you went to each day, there was probably a lot more negative days than positive days there for a little bit. So that was just an interesting observation.
That is a very interesting observation. That is a huge year. As you were talking, I was trying to think, would I even remember anything from my 33rd year? And
so
I have no idea. Yeah. I mean, it happened. I don't really know anything else. So I think it's pretty profound that you had these 2 magnificent things happen within the year. And here's what I want you as your friend to remember. Don't then think, Taylor, this is it. This is the top, man. I can't beat either one of those things.
I literally got to the top of both of those things.
You can't.
There's only one direction to go.
No, that's so you. Don't do it. That's not true. You're young and spry. Who knows what's next? No, you act old, but no, there's so much more ahead. That's amazing. To sit and think that you accomplish those things, and with the negative, the challenging thing that happened through this year, you survived that. Your family survived it. Your kids are still here and healthy, and your marriage is stronger than ever, and your family's stronger than ever. You know what I mean? So even with that, you can see that was a success. You guys made it through, and that's what's really amazing. It's only going to get better for sure. Anyway, I'm proud of you. Happy birthday, Tay.
Thank you. Well, there's 2 more. We're not done yet.
I know. Sorry. I'm sorry. I just wanted to pause on those. Sorry. I apologize. Keep going.
The other victory is ironic because of where we're recording this. I'm a little frustrated and sad because of something that happened last night. And no, it wasn't you speaking at my parish. I was a little busy watching the Astros lose in Game 7 of the ALCS. But again, I'm sad about this, but as I reflect this morning, you know what I realized also happened in my 33rd year? On November 10th, the Astros won their second World Series in their history. So even though I have to deal with this loss, we're still the reigning champions as we sit here and record this. We're not going to repeat. Sad, very sad, whatever. But in my 33rd year, we won our second World Series, which was very, very sweet.
That is cool.
I liked that a lot. And then I think a minor thing that doesn't seem as big either positively or negatively as the other ones, but is a positive thing. But it seems, I think, smaller, but I'm proud of it, is our foundations course, which I've talked about on the show before, which is like our Intro to Catholicism 10-week course that I'm running for the parish. In my 33rd year, we got that all online. And it doesn't have a crap ton of views, but it's like the ministry that we were doing in person, I think is one of the most proudest ministries I've been a part of. And the fact that we got it, recorded and uploaded and shared, and everybody can watch it now on youtube.com/Forte Catholic. You can go and watch whether you're new to Catholicism, whether you've been in Catholicism for a while and just want a refresher. We have a whole course. I'd never made a course before, and I made a course, and it's all published on the internet for people to go watch. And people are watching it about as often as they're wishing you a happy birthday.
No, they're gonna go watch it as they wish you a happy birthday. It's gonna be a win-win. I haven't watched it, so you know what? I'll go watch it. How about that? Is that good? Can that be a good birthday present for you?
That'd be a great birthday. Watch hours on YouTube might be the greatest gift anybody can give me at this point, other than just straight cash. So, I mean, either of those two for the birthday.
You'll take either.
Yeah, ForteCatholic.com/donate or YouTube.com/ForteCatholic. Those are your two options for birthday.
There you go. You're your own GoFundMe. I love it. That's hysterical.
Right,
well, I like your list. I think that's a good list. And I think it'd be interesting to hear from Sam, your wife, what her list would be for you, for your top 5.
Well, she's here, but she's not a podcaster, so we're not going to ask. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. The holidays are right around the corner. If you are in that giving spirit or wondering what you're going to do in the season of giving, or wondering what you're going to do to make your accountant happy with some end-of-year gifts, keep Forte Catholic in mind. ForteCatholic.com/donate is where you can give. We are a Catholic nonprofit. Our entire mission is to share the joy of the gospel, both through our shows and by helping other creators create great things to make the internet a better place by adding some other great Catholic things there. If you want to support our work, you can do that with a one-time donation, which is pretty popular around this time of year with Giving Tuesday and Thanksgiving and giving season, and then also end of year gifts. You want to do it one time. Also, if you want to join our monthly support team, you can do that as well. Giving $10 a month, $25 a month, $50 a month, or even more. We really appreciate all of our donors. If you want to join that lovely group of human beings, it's ForteCatholic.com/donate. Thank you. Welcome back to Forte Catholic. I am Taylor Stroll, and that is Olivia Newton-John. We're surviving today's show. We're really doing it.
We are surviving today's show. That is true. I
feel like Beyonce and Kelly Rowland and that other person everybody forgets. I'm a survivor. I'm not going to give up. I'm
Michelle
not gonna stop.
Something. Wasn't it Michelle? I love that you knew Kelly Rowland. That's impressive.
Yeah. She did that song with Nelly where she was mad that he didn't text her back because she was in Excel. Have you seen that? That became a big thing. Yeah,
no.
Yeah, in the music video for Dilemma, the song that they did together. She's texting him in the video on like one of those it wasn't a flip phone, but like a slide phone. Those were kind of new at the time. And she's texting him and mad that she's not getting a thing back. But if you zoom in on the music video, it's just an Excel spreadsheet that she typed the message into. It's like, yeah, you idiot, you're not going to get a response.
That's hilarious. That's cute.
Yeah.
So yes, we are survivors. How are you doing, Tay? You excited about your birthday?
God,
I wanted to bring it back to you, and I wanted to piss you off. Here, look at him. See,
you have. Because you didn't do the one thing that I asked you to do. I did
yes,
one.
I know.
One. I gave you one note of prep, and you've already ruined it. I'm so mad at you.
It made him so smiley. Here's the thing. Here's what I really wanted to say after I made you mad. That was just for you. That was just for your birthday.
Now the fact that you're saying that you did it on purpose is making me even angrier.
Oh, yes, I did.
No,
I absolutely did. Because here's what I was going to say. I feel like you and I dressed up for Halloween because we both look like M&Ms, but we look like Christmas M&Ms. I think that's hilarious. I looked at you and I said, you're wearing all red and I'm wearing all green and you've got a buffalo plaid in the back as if you're having a roasted fire and you're going to sing Christmas carols in Canada. And I was like, what is this? Is this our Christmas special there? What's going on, mister? And then I kind of thought we kind of look like M&Ms.
Yeah.
Like the Christmas guy.
Thank you. You completely ruined a perfectly good segue. Remember earlier when I said I was proud of you? It's all gone. It's all gone. It's all gone.
Taylor,
It was
I'm
gonna
trying to make you laugh.
You noticed this earlier off air, and it was going to be a perfect transition into what I wanted to talk about. And now I'm just angry.
I did it.
We're going to talk about little baby Jesus, and I'm angry. Like I had all this stuff about the nativity of Jesus, and I was going to connect it to the nativity of Taylor because we're celebrating the vigil of Taylor. It was going to be this beautiful transition, and now I'm angry, and I'm just going to read the scriptures because that's what I do when I'm angry. So
he hates the way I do anything that he wants.
Jeez, Louis, I just know better. I just know not to give you any show prep, and I give you literally one sentence of show prep, and we are now 3 minutes into our final segment. We haven't started yet.
All right. Well, I liked the way I did it. I was trying to make you laugh.
I don't. Okay. So I did some follow up on the last episode that I did with you and the last episode I did with Allison. On one of them, I said I need to go back to reading scripture. On the other one, I said that I needed to go back to adoration. And I shared on last week's show, 2 week shows, that I went back to adoration. And I'm now going to talk about what I read during adoration, and it was from the scriptures. So I made this, I noticed something in these 2 stories that we've probably all heard a ton because ironically enough, it's the Christmas story and it was going to be a great transition that you ruined. So I was reading in, where'd it go? Luke chapter 1. I was just like, hey, I'm just going to pick a gospel and I'm going to start with it. I didn't get much further than that because I got some show prep out of it and then I stopped reading, but I did read all of Luke chapter 1. So there's 2 stories. There's the one that we all know, like every Christian knows because every Christian has been to a Christmas service. That's not debatable. Whether you're going on July 8th, that's a whole different thing. But every Christian's been to a Christmas service, Christmas mass, whatever. And you hear the story of, the angel Gabriel coming to speak to Mary, right? Well, there's this other story right before it that's a little less popular. But I think like maybe more diehard Christians or people who have studied their faith or like have listened to Dr. Peter Kraft say anything at all, that they would have heard the story of the announcement of John the Baptist being married. Would you agree that that's a story that some people would know, but not as many as the Mary story?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I would say even a lot of non-Christians would know the announcement of Mary's story. But anyway, I noticed something that made me mad about I ended up being mad at the angel Gabriel, and I want to tell you why.
Who are you not mad at today?
I don't know. All my other co-hosts. Okay, so there's going to be a lot of scripture readings. We did a lot of catechism readings a couple weeks ago. Now we're going to do a lot of scripture readings. So you just need to sit down and shut up. That's what we need from you here at the end of the show. All right, Luke chapter 1, the announcement of the birth of John. There was a priest named Zechariah of the priestly division of Abijah. His wife was from the daughters of Aaron, and her name was Elizabeth. Both were righteous in the eyes of God, observing all the commandments and ordinance of the Lord blamelessly. I want you to keep a few of those words in your brain as we move through this story. They were righteous in the eyes of God, observed all the commandments, and the Lord looked upon them blamelessly. That's very important for where this is going. But they had no child. They did all of those things right, and they had no child. Because Elizabeth was barren, and both were advanced in years. They were old, like 46 or something, right? Once, when he was serving as a priest in the division's turn before God, according to the practice of the priestly service, he was chosen by lot to enter the sanctuary of the Lord to burn incense. Now, I will grant that this is a story I've heard, but I don't think I realized that Zechariah was the one that, like, once a year, they sent a priest into the Holy of Holies, which is like where God's presence was, where the Ark of the Covenant and all that kind of stuff was. I didn't realize that Zechariah was one of these people until I'm rereading this a couple weeks ago. And what they would do when they went into the Holy of Holies, they were like, some people, like, God is so holy and we are so not that you might die in the presence of God. So what they would do is they'd send one person in, and they would literally tie a rope around his waist, like kind of like a lasso around his waist, and they would all be outside ready to like pull on it in case he couldn't walk out because he died because he saw the presence of the Lord. Like, that's the scenario. They cast lots for this. Like, they rolled dice because they were like, yeah, we're priests, but I'm not sure I want to die. You do it. Like they literally had to gamble for who got to see God,
It's very Indiana Jones. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like it would be in a Spielberg film.
So he's the one that got selected. So they were all praying outside, and he went inside. And then the angel of the Lord appeared to him standing at the right of the altar of incense. So he goes into the Holy of Holies, and this angel, who we'll find out in a few minutes is Gabriel, appears to Zechariah. Zechariah was troubled by what he saw, which is fair. Like, we've talked before about how angels aren't these pretty little these pretty little things like Cupid or whatever. Like they're terrifying angelic beings that just pop up out of nowhere. Like you'd be scared if you're sitting in a room by yourself and all of a sudden just, so he was troubled at what he saw and fear came upon him. But the angel said to him, "Do not be afraid, Zechariah, because your prayer has been heard. Your wife Elizabeth will bear you a son, and you shall name him John. And you will have joy and gladness, and many will rejoice at his birth. For he will be great in the sight of the Lord. He will neither drink wine nor strong drink. He will be filled with the Holy Spirit, even from his mother's womb, and he will turn many of the children of Israel to the Lord their God. He will go before them in the power and spirit of Elijah to turn their hearts of their fathers toward children and the disobedient to the understanding of the righteous, to prepare a people fit for the Lord." Like that's having John the Baptist's life, like, hey, this is going to be your kid. Like that's great, right? So then Zechariah said to the angel, and I want you to be thinking about, we're going to go through it, but some of you will get why I'm mad before I even say it. Because the next story is the angel Gabriel with Mary. Okay? Then Zechariah said to the angel, "Well, how shall I know this? For I am an old man and my wife is advanced in years." And the angel Gabriel said to him in reply, "I am Gabriel, who stands before God. I was sent to speak to you and announce to you this good news. But now you will be speechless and unable to talk until the day these things take place, because you did not believe my words, which will be fulfilled at their proper time." So he questions and gets punished by becoming a mute. Meanwhile, the people were waiting for Zechariah and were amazed at how long he stayed out in the sanctuary. But when he came out, he was unable to speak to them. Think about how terrifying that would be if you're one of those other priests that knows that you have a 1 in 50 chance of being the person that goes in next year. He comes out mute and they're just like, "Oh no," just like imagine that. And then they realized that he had seen a vision in the sanctuary. He was gesturing to them, but remained mute. He doesn't know ASL because he just became mute, Then when his days of ministry were completed, he went home. He had to stay there and continue doing his ministry, even though he became mute. They're just like, "Yeah, I know you had a rough time in there at work, buddy, but you got to stay here. HR says you don't have any more PTO. You got to stay at the office." So after this time, his wife Elizabeth conceived. It all happened. Great, but he doesn't get to name his kid. Before he was mute, he wanted to name him Zechariah, and then he can't talk, and he's like, they name him John. So granted, God gives him this gift, right? He gets a son in his old age, and it's like one of the most famous sons of all time.
Right.
It's very, very great. But he asked one little simple question.
Yeah.
And gets made mute and isn't able to name his only and firstborn son. Now,
is that why you're angry?
I'm angry because of how different it is with our friend Mary. I know it's a weird thing to be angry about, but I am.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna give you a little hint. I think there's a difference between how the Lord deals with men and deals with women, and it makes me frustrated. So here's what we're doing. Where'd it go? There's the birth of John. I skipped it. Okay. In the 6th month, the angel Gabriel was sent from God to a town of Galilee called Nazareth. So, last time the angel showed up, he had some great news and also some bad news for the guy that he told the news to. He appeared to a virgin betrothed to a man named Joseph of the house of David. The virgin's name was Mary. And coming to her, he said, "Hail, favored one, the Lord is with you." But she was greatly troubled at what was said and pondered what sort of greeting this might be. Pretty similar to how Zechariah started. He's like, there's some fear. He wasn't sure what to say. What's going on here? Fair. Then the angel said to her, "Do not be afraid, Mary, for you have found favor with God." Pretty similar to what? I didn't realize how much these stories mirror each other, right?
Mm.
"Behold, you will conceive in your womb and bear a son. You shall name him Jesus. He will be great and called Son of the Most High. And the Lord God will give him the throne of David his father, and he will rule over the house of Jacob forever, and of his kingdom there will be no end." So, I did not realize how much we're following the same script. Person, who is found blameless and holy before God.
Mhm.
Angel Gabriel appears to him, gives them this great prophecy of this son that they are going to have that's going to do great things. And they both have questions. And we already realized what happened to Zechariah. He was severely punished for his questions. But Mary has some questions too. Mary said to the angel, "How can this be, since I have had no relations with a man?" And the angel said to her, in reply to her question, "The Holy Spirit will come upon you, and the power of the Most High will overshadow you. Therefore, the child to be born will be called Holy, the Son of God. And behold, Elizabeth, your relative, has also conceived a son in her old age, for nothing will be impossible with God." Okay. Zechariah, the guy, has a simple question. And his question, if you remember, was, can you prove this somehow? Like we're both really old. We're not going to be able to have a kid, right? And he gets punished. Mary has questions like, how are you going to have a baby without having sex? Like, fair question, right? And not only does she not get turned mute, but Zechariah's question gets answered. Zechariah asked how this is going to be, and can you give me proof? Gabriel, I guess, has learned his lesson. My guess is he made Zechariah mute. He went back up to heaven, and God was like, "What are you doing that for? He's one of my favorites, and you just punished him for no reason." So when he came back to this little sweet girl in Galilee, in Nazareth, and she questions, he's like, "You know what? I'm not even going to make you ask how this is going to be, and can you give me proof? I'm just going to tell you how it's going to be and give you proof. Your old cousin is pregnant, and there's your proof. You don't even have to ask for it." And it made me so mad for how God deals with his favorite boys and his favorite girls differently.
And I love that I heard all that so differently than you did, which makes sense. Well, for one thing, Mary's a child, like she's a kid, and Zechariah is old, like he's had a good life. Second thing is I wonder if Gabriel knew all the pain Mary was going to have to go through. You know what I mean? Because Zechariah wasn't going to be around for all of that. She was actually going to have to watch her son be crucified on a cross. I'm going to go with that's a lot harder than being mute. And I think the things that she was going to have to go through already as an unwed girl, for society, she was going to already have consequences for what was going to happen. Zechariah wasn't going to have anything, So I could see that also being like, hers were already built in. And I have no idea, like there's been a lot of, conversation about, did she have labor pains? Did she actually experience birth pains? So, but if you're thinking about a girl who didn't know relations with a man and was a teenager, I don't know, like if whether she had pains or not, there's a lot of emotional stuff going on there. But then if there was the physical part, I don't even understand how she did any of that. So I don't know. I'm just saying, look, Zechariah was quiet for a little moment in the blip of time. The blip of time. Okay. How many months was it?
I don't know. A while.
Was it 9?
So it was 9. I think it was pretty.
Okay.
I think it was
well,
pretty
there you
similar
go. So
to
it was equal.
Like a pregnancy. I'm not saying that being and pregnancy are the same thing, but I think it is a similar amount of time.
Men not being able to talk and name a son is the same as creating a life inside of your womb.
Here's all I'm saying. I
think it's way more than equal.
Like in our court system, right? Mm-hmm. If you're going to sentence somebody for a crime, right? So if you murder somebody, it's something like, I think the statute is something like 25 to life. Like there's a range, right? 25 to life, 25 years in prison to life in prison or whatever, right? If you steal a pen, it's a misdemeanor, and it's just like, you have to pay a fine and give the guy his pen back. I don't know. Like it's obviously it's much less than 25 to life, right? But what this feels like, and there's court precedent. So like when lawyers are talking about their clients and they're like, hey, there's a precedent that this person didn't go to jail for this action, then the courts have to take that into consideration, right? And at the same time, in the courts, if you steal a pen, you're not going to get 25 to life, right? Like there's just so yeah, or a lawyer, exactly. I mean, unless you steal the pen from someone important and then shove the pen into their eyeball. So my point is that there's like, it seems like there's different punishments or different responses to, like, I I never realized how many similarities there are
Yes.
in this in the story. Like it almost flow, and they're literally right after each other. Like I skipped a couple of verses, but they're literally right after each other.
Yeah.
And I just think it's very strange how different the response is to the man, which, like, you know, as we're talking about, it's like, okay, yeah, he was a priest, so he probably knew a little bit more. But at the same time, you could make the argument that Mary was sinless, so she might have known a little bit more. Like, but it just seems really strange that she got all the reward and he got the punishment.
I love that you think what Mary had to go through was all the reward, but I really do. I think it's age. I mean, going back to what you were saying about murder,
Queen of Heaven is quite a reward.
Well, in the end, yes, but if a 15-year-old murdered somebody and a 55-year-old murdered somebody, there are differences in the courts with that, Taylor. Like, I really do think this is an age thing instead of a gender issue. I think it's more of, I mean, if we want to take gender out of it, I think it's the age. And
I don't. I mean, the whole reason I brought it up was just about gender.
Mary didn't have a frontal lobe.
I think God is nicer to his favorite ladies than he is to his favorite boys. I really do.
She went through more pain than Zechariah. You are correct.
So here's my suggestion. Here's my suggestion for how God could have rectified the situation.
Yes, how could God make this better for you?
To be more fair in Taylor's eyes in the American court system. So I think just because I was picturing both. So I'm asking for the same outcome for the two of them. I think it's only fair. You can disagree that it's fair, but that's what I'm arguing for, right? Okay. I think either Zechariah should have gotten Mary's punishment, which was nothing. So like he could have just gone home. Like the fact that, because think about this. What Zechariah didn't get to do, Zechariah didn't get to go announce to his wife that she was pregnant, that their joy was complete, this thing that they asked for years and years and years. And this thing that he knew, he didn't get to really share that moment with her and like talk about it, right? So I'm asking for equal things because I think Zechariah missed out. Or the funnier option, the funniest option in all of this is, could you imagine? Because if the story flowed exactly the same, Mary would have been struck mute. And could you imagine a 13, 14, 15-year-old girl having to explain that she was conceiving of God without having relations? Could you imagine the situation she would be in if she was mute and could not share words? I'm just imagining the hand signals. It's the funniest thing in the world. That's the whole reason I brought all this up, because I pictured Mary getting the same punishment as Zechariah, and I think it is so funny.
You're the worst. I also love that and that's so funny because you're right. Like, I think like, but I mean, could Zechariah write? Like, could he like draw?
I think so. I think that's how. So the story later on is I think he's actually the one, because the Gabriel.
So he made a graphic novel of this.
I don't think he really. I think he's the one. I think later on in the story, I didn't read that far because again, I told you I only read the first chapter. But I think he writes John like on a tablet or whatever, and that's why they named him John. So like I was being a little facetious that he didn't get to help write his son because like whatever. But
no, it would be poor Mary. That's what I'm saying. I think she had enough to deal with, Taylor, being 15. I think it should
just be fair. I think either neither of them should have been mute or both of them, and both of them is just the funnier option, which is why I like that one.
I hope we get to ask. Zechariah. Like, I hope, if we get like 5 questions when we die, one is an automatic, or like, you get 5 questions, but you get an automatic from Zechariah. So how do you feel about Mary not becoming?
And he's like, he's in the situation where he has feelings about it, but he can't say anything. I'm just 100% sure.
You're speaking for him. That is very thoughtful of you, Taylor.
He's like, yeah, she did some great things. He just like shifts it off to some other stuff.
She did some great things. Her life wasn't totally easy. She was on a donkey when she was 9 months pregnant, but whatevs. She could talk.
Anyway, that was my strange biblical revelation, and just
That's hilarious.
I want everybody to know that even when I'm praying and reading scripture and doing the good Catholic boy thing of sitting in the church, I want you to know that when I look like I'm reading my Bible, I really am reading my Bible, but this is the kind of stuff going through my head.
You're angry. You're reading the Bible with anger.
No, I to be honest, I wasn't angry. It was so funny to me because it was just so funny how similar the stories were,
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden, we take a big right turn, and I want to know why the right turn was there. I wanted to
call Dr. Peter Kraft.
Yeah,
He'll tell you.
Exactly. You can interview him again and tell him that you don't know who he is. Just like I also want to I pictured Mary not being able to talk is a funny scenario, but also like it looks like Gabriel got some coaching from the Lord when he went back up to heaven and changed his ways a few months later. Both of those scenarios are funny to me. I don't know. I don't think either are true, but just they could be. They could. We don't know, and we don't know, and we can ask when we go find out. But
we will.
Anyway, I'm a lot happier at the end of this segment than I was at the beginning. Olivia, we did it. Again, I'm proud of you. I'm angry with you, and you have a lot of heartfeltness in our house. That's how we're closing today's show.
I love it. Happy birthday, Taylor.
Happy belated birthday to you, and I want everybody to go tell you that. I'm Taylor Schroll. That's Olivia Newton-John. I'll be back in a week. She'll be back in a month. See ya. Thank you all for watching and listening to today's episode. I hope that you enjoyed it. Liv and I had an absolute blast recording it. We hope that you enjoyed your time with us. We really do appreciate you spending this time with us each and every week. If you do not want to miss out on our next episode, make sure that you hit subscribe to Forte Catholic wherever you are listening, especially over on YouTube. And while you're on that YouTube, go check out some of our other videos, our Foundation series, which is like an introduction, a reintroduction to the basics of Catholicism, our pop culture series, a Catholic perspective, where we look at some of your favorite movies, TVs, video games, books, all that kind of stuff. All of that can be found at youtube.com/Forte Catholic. Until next week, love you.
Should I say secrets about Taylor right now when he's not there and he can't hear me and we're recording? And then when he comes back and he listens, then he can hear a secret that I share about him? Nah, it's okay. He already yelled at me today. I don't want to get yelled at. I'm gonna scroll. I'm gonna be a millennial.